Hi folks, John O'Leary from Horse Problems Australia, and welcome to Horse Training Online, the video productions. Today I want to talk to you about evasion in the horse and evasion of all of the descriptions. The first thing that you must do, the first thing that I do on any horse that we have evasion problems with, is to remouth them, of course, because you must have the ingredient of the lateral mouth to be able to control them from their run. At least control them laterally, even if you can't control them from a front brakes point of view. But there are a number of ingredients of the control that I want to talk to you about, which come into play during the fixing of a horse that wants to evade. One is the lateral mouth to control a horse trying to run away, and you'll see in a moment. I'll just play you the initial ride of Mrs. HP on this horse with this mirror that's on this this new mirror that's on this arena, and you'll see what happens without a lateral mouth, and why the lateral mouth is so important to shut down a horse during the most spooky stages of evasion. Once things start to improve and the brain starts to get its head back, its brain back, then you can use a combination of the front brakes, which you must also make sure are working well, and you then must not allow a horse to run through your hands and to scoot forward, because that in itself is evasion. And if you don't control all evasions, no matter how small they are, you'll never fix the evasive horse on whatever issue it is that you're trying to work out at the time, whether it be crossing a river or going past a goat tied to a chain, or in this case a mirror. The other thing that I'll point out about this horse is you'll notice on that footage that you just saw that this particular horse lacks boldness, and this gets back to the breaking in process. The trainer who broke this horse in, who comes from the English disciplines, didn't ride this horse out and bush bash it and give it the works and jerks. Therefore, boldness is not put on the horse. Now, on the subject of boldness, horses are born bold, less bold, wimps, the same as with humans. However, a bold rider or a bold trainer, especially at the start, at the breaking in process, will and can make a far bolder horse than if the horse wasn't challenged and exposed during the breaking in process. So you've probably read or heard me say before, a bold rider makes a bold horse, and that is a fact, and a nervous rider makes a nervous horse, and that is a fact. Because once we get under saddle with horses, their head is out the front here, they are the leader. Even though I'm on them, they're having to lead first and make all the decisions out there in front of us, and they're really leading us. So we have to be bold to back them up, to give them the confidence, and to make them a bold horse. Now, on the subject of evasion, and back to that subject, if you don't shut down each and every evasion, no matter how small they are, your re-education of evasive tactics will go on forever. Because every time a horse gets a victory, even running 5 metres through your hands, you have cancelled out the good work that you just may have done and prolonged the period of remedial work on the horse, because you keep going back to square one every time you lose the battle of evasion. So that's why you'll see lateral mouths in times of danger, bolt, buck, run sideways. You'll see front brakes when we've got the brain of the horse a bit more and a bit more confident, and then you'll see two other systems of possibly handling evasions, and that is, with the mirror down that end of the arena, you have the option of doing serpentines and building and building and building and building from a natural horsemanship point of view, in the hope that the horse in the end will accept seeing itself in the mirror. But the ultimate fix is to make the horse so responsive and so respectful of the leg that it will not run against your leg, and that the leg yieldability of the horse overcomes all evasion. And therefore, the horse that leg yields terrifically does not shy and evade things on dressage arenas, etc., basically because they are more respectful of our leg, and in this case, and on the leg yielding horses, the spur, than the fear of whatever it is that they're worried about. And if you can cancel out that, you have then won the evasion, and that they will basically get their mind back on us rather than the fear of whatever it was, simply because they respect us under saddle. That translates into leadership, that translates to a bold horse. So here we go, and we'll have a try. And you'll see all sorts of things happening here. This is a high-end, a very high-end job on a horse like this. And all sorts of decisions are being made all of the time on the horse. Because with these young horses, and this horse here is a green horse. Good girl. She hasn't seen herself yet. Good girl, good girl. But we have reward. This horse also learnt evasion from the trainer, we know. But this horse hasn't seen this for 2 or 3 days. So the first control mechanism is the one rein. The lateral mouth is all powerful in the training of horses and in the control of horses and the shutting down during dangerous times. The other thing I was going to say though, that you'll see all sorts of decisions, well, you may not see it because it's all happening in a split second, but you may see me release reins during crucial times and things like that, because you've got to judge whether the horse is going to plat its legs and fall over, because that's what green horses often do, especially on beaches where they're running away from the waves the first time. So watch that one. Good girl. Walk on. Now, I'm at a bit of a disadvantage here because I can't see. I can't see the walk on. The other thing is that you've got to have the engine, walk on, the engine in the back. Good girl, good girl. Because you've got to be able to generate the horse to go somewhere. Now, because we're just starting now, good girl, good girl. I'm going to rely on the lateral mouth first because I want to get her brain first, because you saw what happened the other day and how dangerous it is. And we've got to start building. Now, I said that we have to train the horse to be off our leg and to overcome its fear and be more respectful of our leg. However, we must add the ingredient of friendship, empathy, understanding and reward in everything we do, no matter how big the drama is, because it is this reassurance and resting and reward and reliefs and advance and retreat that is also the other ingredient that is so important. So she saw herself here, she decided to stand. The smart trainer will just stand here and let her soak it up, especially the amateur trainer, because you don't want to build problems and make problems, and you don't want to challenge and make the problems more difficult than they are. So if there's an easier road, walk on, then that's good. Walk on. Now with this particular horse, if I went straight up there, which I could do now, good girl, good girl. If I went straight up there and then suddenly appeared in front of the mirror, she would probably fall over, because that's how dangerous this is in their blind panic. Good girl. Walk on. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Walk on. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Now at the moment I'm just trying to get her mind. I'm not going to the leg yielding yet. Good girl. Walk on. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. You can see yourself? Hey, can you see yourself? You're a good girl. Yes, you are. Good girl. You're a pretty girl, aren't you? Now I can see the horse because this mirror is set down so that Mrs. HP can work on Piaffe and Passage where she's going past here. It's not for looking down the arena, this one. Good girl. But now I'll walk off. Walk on. Good girl. And I will go round a little circle here because ultimately we've got to be able to ride past this and the horse be off the leg. Walk on. So I need to go sideways. Good girl, good girl. Good girl, good girl. Okay, so again, building, building, building. Walk on. I could have started then to go leg yielding and to leg yield over a little bit. But again, using empathy for the horse, we can do that down the track another circuit. And any move, good girl, any leg yield towards that mirror is all we need. Walk on. Good girl, good girl. Any movement and then reward and relief. And building, building, building. Now this is the ingredients of all horse training. No matter what it is that you do on horseback, these are the ingredients to keep horses in control. Good girl, good girl. And because I'm past the mirror, I can leg yield out into the corner a bit. Good girl, good girl. And so you see, when you go back to that article on my problems index about the leg yield, where it says straight away that unless your horse leg yields, you cannot ride dressage. And it is a fact, you can't. And unless your horse leg yields, and incidentally, my double DVD set on teaching the horse to leg yield in 2 days is available on my website. But unless you can, there's all sorts of other things that you can't do in a horse's life if you can't leg yield either, like opening gates, dodging rabbit burrows in the bush, you name it. But certainly dressage. Good girl, good girl. Good girl, good girl. Now, the other thing that, just while we're going around here quietly, that I want to tell you about is that everything we do with horses, everything is easier at the walk. Everything is twice as hard at the trot and 3 times as hard or more at the canter. And so, even though you may have won at the walk with some new thing with a horse, you've then got to restart all over again and win it at the trot and then the canter. And the same goes even when you're lunging the horse. You can do stuff with collection and running reins, etc. at the walk, but you can't do it at the trot because the horse will immediately resist like hell and you've got to go straight back and start again. So everything has to be done at all 3 gates. Good girl, good girl, good girl. This time I'm going to stop and again let her have a look. It's the first time I've had a look in this mirror. Not a bad looking unit. This combination, is it, eh? Cowboy suit pally, don't they? Okay, walk on. Good girl, good girl. Leg yield out again to remind her. Now you'll notice, read my article about spurs. I put spurs on for this job. I haven't worn spurs for 12 months. Spurs are to be used so that you don't have to use spurs. Whips are to be carried so you don't have to use whips. However, in this situation, you must have them on in case of, and the horse has to know that you're wearing them. And so, just a second ago, good girl, I got on this horse in the round yard because, again, I remind you that she's a green breaker, and of course she hasn't had spurs on. And if you suddenly go and introduce spurs onto a green horse, or any horse that hasn't had spurs on, you could get a buck jump show. The other thing you'll notice is that I'm not hitting her with the spurs, and you shouldn't. Good girl, good girl, good girl. You should never have to kick a horse with spurs. You've only put them on and push with them on a scale of 0 to 10, or little tap tap at the maximum. But never kicking horses and spurs. There's no place for kicking horses with spurs, and you don't need to kick horses with spurs if you're a sophisticated trainer, because they do not need it. Only idiots have to kick horses with spurs. Walk on. Good girl. Building, 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 and again she ran against my leg just there, so I put her back from where she came and turned her loose. So evasion is about putting the horse back from where it came and turn it loose. If it shied from there to there, it's got to go back there and then be given relief. Good girl. Pull back. What's your back up like? Good girl. Walk on. I'm not trying to collect this horse. That's not my job. Although I can feel that Mrs. HP has got this horse to a situation where you can collect her. Now, the other thing that I will tell you also, with the training of horses, you never know what's going to happen next. Walk on. Is that even though I've been going around here and we've got the horse to accept it on the left rein, I told you about walking and... Whoa, we go. I told you about the difficulties of doing it as walk, then trot harder, then canter harder. Let me warn you also that when you change rein, it can all break loose again and go right back to square one, and you've got to fix it on the right rein, because horses have to be balanced on both sides. And just because you can go left, it may not mean that you can go right. So you've got to do that as well. So, but I just wanted to ask you, wind this back, and for the purposes of listening to your horses and reading the minds of horses all of the time, which thankfully I am in their head the whole time these days, why did she stop just back there? You work out why she stopped, because I know why she stopped. I didn't ask her to stop, but you work out why she stopped, because she stopped for a reason, and it was a good reason. Walk on off. She's not quite in front of my leg enough either, so I just remind her. Okay, this will be the last time. See, I'm warning her. Walk on. Now she's worried about the cameraman who's sitting up on top of a big rainwater tank. Walk on. Now, so that was not about the mirror, that was about cameraman up above the horse's eye, sitting on a 25,000 litre rainwater tank. One more time. Good girl, good girl, she's a good girl, good girl. This is an Australian stock horse, heritage bred. Good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl, good girl. She's a good girl. And in leg yielding, you cannot flex off. Go watch the leg yielding DVD, but you cannot flex. There she is, she stopped again. Check it out again, work it out. Walk on. You cannot. Good girl, good girl. Good girl. All right, the other rein. I've forgotten what I was about to say. Now, anything could happen here, so I might have to go right rein. Good girl. Now you saw her think, read her mind. You saw her think run because of the other eye. Walk on. Good girl. Good girl. So I'm not going to make a big issue of it here and put leg yield on her here either that time, because we're going the other direction. So we've backed off. Empathy for the horse, understanding of her situation. It is not her fault why this was so frightening to her in that footage. It's the fault of the breaker, the trader, not putting the foundation stones on the breaker, which the Jotty boys, I'm yet to find a Jotty boy breaker who does put the proper foundation stones like the true Australian horseman. If I meet one, I'll shake their hand. Now their evasion, I control the evasion with speed of rein handling and the stop and the back up, putting the horse back from where it came. Now on that occasion, it's just the green horse thing shying at something here in the rocks or the flag. Good girl, walk on. But I use the front brakes then, not the lateral mouth, because it wasn't going to be a bolt. I've now got it worked out and I don't think she's a buck jumper. And so it was front brakes to improve the integrity of the front mouth. Good girl. Now, the other thing that I would ask you for you to read the horse. Good girl. When I came past the mirror that time, noticed that she was looking over in the rocks. So she has forgotten the mirror and was looking for trouble over in the rocks. Therefore, the horse is telling us that the mirror is becoming a non-event. See her looking at the camera person, not the mirror. Good girl, good girl, good girl. And she's looking up there at the camera person. Good girl, good girl. Which means the mirror, we've basically won the fixing of evasion in concerns of this big mirror here, where she can see now the whole arena and herself. The fixing of evasion of the horse, no matter what the evasion is to not allow the evasion to happen in the first place. Most evasions are caused by learnt evasion because riders lack rein handling, lack reading, understanding, reading the future, reading the mind of the horse, timing, feel, etc. So fix all of those ingredients and you'll have a horse that will be the boldest horse in town and will never evade in the future. Good girl, and thanks for being such a lovely girl. Good girl, walk on. We'll catch you next time on the next subject.